Old School Fool here, kids. And just to let you guys know, today Old School is doing an Old School review. I just happened to download the newest version. I guess, well, obviously not the newest version, but it happens to be Mortal Kombat 2 from the PlayStation Store. Now, if you guys haven't tried it out yet, it's a whole $5 plus tax and tip. My tip's coming from me to tell you guys by showing you today a little comparison action between the home consoles that were released on, between some of the collections that I was on, to the arcade version. Is it worth the money? So, being a connoisseur of Mortal Kombat in general franchise, we're going to check out cross-platform boards, starting with obviously the arcade, which I am very privy to because I own the arcade machine. We're going to start out with the 16-bit version, Super Nintendo. So if we take a look at it, this is the SNES Mortal Kombat 2. Okay, so we're going to start with the Super Nintendo version. Now, me being old school and liking every system known to man, Super Nintendo seemed to be my system of choice, and we're going to review that one. Super Nintendo version was obviously not far from arcade perfect, but giving its actual abilities, was probably the best version released on a platform for its time. It happens to have very close to capturing that arcade sound. You still get all the wheels and the grunts, and you get the blood, and obviously even the animation. I mean, granted, it's missing a few frames if you look at the stances, but overall, it actually does a really good job of capturing the arcade version for less than $60. So, which is what I paid for it back in the day. Now you can probably pick it up for half that, but for what it's worth, it was a great title, and the combos that I used to take some names and kick some ass totally did the job. And as you can see, the trees in the background, the living forest, were still animated. Now, the only thing I noticed about this version was obviously the sound was a little tinny, but it was very close. Colors are slightly washed out, and the missing frames of animation sort of almost became the game itself was a little faster. But if you look at it in general, it was an appealing version, and it definitely had all the blood and guts that the originally first version didn't have for Super Nintendo, or we wouldn't even go there. So definitely a good port for what it's worth. Has all the spoof specials, has all the appearances of smoke. Pretty much is definitely close, and for what it's worth, 16-bit goodness at its finest. So yeah, if you have a Super Nintendo and it's the only platform you have it on, definitely pick it up. It's good stuff. Alright, so now we're going to go to the next platform, which is the other 16-bit counterpart, which is the Genesis version. Now, the Genesis version, I almost want to probably go poo-poo pa-choo on. As much of a Sega fan as I am, I really have to tell you, it's a really weak version of the game. The Genesis version was developed by, I think it was actually Probe/Acclaim. I should tell you right there. And there's some other house that worked on the original one, which, even though it contained the blood from the original one, the second one was just god-awful. The animation is extremely choppy on it, almost next to none. The sound sounds like grunts and groans from Sorta Sodan or something. It's just, I could probably have coded better on my cell phone. It was just a really rushed title, looked like. And of course, if you didn't have a 6-button controller, you had to press start in between for punches and kicks. And it was hard to control. It wasn't a really happy version. The moves didn't pull off the same. It was just, if you had no other choice and you had a Genesis, then that's what you got. You got you got this. The only thing I could say about it is that the animation did have a few extra frames than the Super Nintendo, but the colors are even more washed, and the sound is nothing like at all. If you listen to the soundtrack, you can listen to it right there. Turn it up here. You get nothing. It sounds like they're playing on broken guitars and ukuleles or something. It's just like a total acid trip. So, there it is. Out of those two 16-bit platforms, definitely Super Nintendo wins that hands down. The next one, where we're going to go to, is one of my favorites, was currently the Midway 2 Classics Collection. Now, the Midway 2 Classics Collection was a PlayStation 2 release, probably about a year and a half ago, and it had actually the Mortal Kombat 3 and Mortal Kombat 2 on that one disc. And for what it's worth, it's definitely a better port than Super Nintendo, 1,000 times better port than the Genesis, and it actually is a better port than the Sega Saturn, even though having the same power, because technically it's for a PS2. I don't know if you guys had the Saturn version, but really the Saturn version was just a audio-enhanced version of the Genesis version. Had the same bad graphics. Actually, it was an audio-enhanced version of the 32X. There was some more colors, better animation, but there was a lot of character animation. There was a lot that was left out. So the Saturn version was a no-go, and so was the 32X. And believe me, I was hoping for the best in 32X, but it just didn't happen. So we'd have to say out of the CD platforms, this happens to be the better one. The Midway Arcade 2 collection, which has the Mortal Kombat 2 on it. Now, the thing I noticed about this game is very true. Arcade sounds are all there, animation all there. But if you look at when the characters jump, or just in general, I've noticed gameplay on this is actually faster. Like, the gameplay itself is faster, mainly because I think the translation, they just sped it up because it's emulation. It's not working off the original ROM hardware, so it's actually somewhat sped up. Fully playable, all the combos work. It's just that if you notice, when you jump in the air on certain characters, you'll see you get flicker. You get the shadow flicker, and overall, it's just not the best version. Though we do like the blood and... Oh, yes, and of course the start button doesn't work on this version because if you want to press down and start, it's pauses the game. So how do you get damn toasty forward in action from playing this version? You don't. Now, we're going to go to my personal version of, which is initially for this comparison and review, was the PlayStation Store download. You have Arcade Flawless Mortal Kombat 2. Now, when I mean Arcade Flawless, I mean I have an arcade machine, and I put quarters into it for a fact, and I played this, and I found little to no different. For this, I used the original 6-axis controller. Now, using the 6-axis controller, the control is a little rigid, mainly because that controller just doesn't feel right when playing this game. I think the DualShock 2 did a better job, feeling-wise. It's a little more rigid, and that's what you need in this game, is precise controls. So when you're pulling up combos, precise controls. But anyways, back to the point of this being the arcade flawless translation. Now, I did everything. I did fatalities, I looked at shadows, nothing flickers, and the gameplay is slightly slower, which is more true to the arcade scene than the previous Midway Arcade 2 collection, and of course the Super Nintendo, and of course the Sega Genesis versions. So if you play this, you'll notice that you have all the crisp sound, you got the tight gameplay, you can press start and down, so you'll be able to get the chance to play Smoke, especially on this stage, if you happen to get, damn toasty foot out in the mix. And it's obviously just a really good port. I played it all the way to the end. If you noticed, we'll just go show you a little quick from the end fight. Good old Shao Kahn. And now Shao Kahn in this game is harder than Trilogy. It's harder than 3. It's because he's got no stun. So you either have to take the hits, block the hits, and not get busted up in the corner. So when you take a look at it, he talks, you hit him. He talks, you hit him. And now a thing that I noticed in all the other versions is when he blows up and you take him to the trash can, it loads the screens, and obviously, this is going to be arcade flawless, that you're going to get an arcade flawless film in the ending. So you do. You bust him up, he explodes, he goes through all the stages, and it turns to stone, and supposedly but you all know what happens there. So overall, I've got to be honest with you, for $5, it's not bad. I didn't see any bugs. It's just, it had the true arcade endings, as you can see, so the solid storyboard endings. So I was happy. I was definitely happy with the purchase. And maybe if you guys want to check out Mortal Kombat 2 on any platform, check it out. I'd say #1 PlayStation Store if you have it. If not, then I would definitely look at the Midway Arcade 2. And of course, if your 16-bit action collection needs a little work, then check it out for the Super Nintendo. This is pretty much the end, and we're going to check out the ending sequence once again from Shao Kahn. Check it out.